welcome here to the finals of the Richmond Open. It's our last standard open before we rotate into Kaladesh. Ted Felicetti, Jacob Hagen, they're our finalists in what was one of the best top 8s of the year. It's a surprising pair of characters in the finals. For Ted, it's really his breakout tournament. The top 8 had Shaheen Sarani, Frank Scarron, Cedric Phillips, Todd Anderson, Noah Walker. 9th was Ben Friedman. 10th was Ross Merriam. This was a great tournament, but these two men are now in the finals.
They've really proved themselves by making it this far, but only one of them can walk away with the trophy.
So, Ted on the plate. He's the 6th seed. He gets a forest. Jacob Hagen, Oath of Nissa's forest into Finding Another Land. But Ted, ready at the 2-drop Duskwatch Recruiter. And this is the first time we've seen the Crush deck play against any sort of aggressive strategy.
Right. And for the Band Company deck, cards like Duskwatch Recruiter, Tireless Tracker, they're really important against sweepers like Languish, like your opponent casting Tragic Arrogance.
Sure.
They're less good against what Hagen is up to. When his sweeper is Crush of Tentacles, he's just putting the stuff in your hand anyway. He's not really concerned about cards in hand. Once he starts gaining that momentum, he's winning the game.
Turn 2, Den Protector face up for Hagen. He's going to throw that blocker out. For Ted, it's going to be a Nissa and a land and a pass. You may notice Hagen not having to face too much aggression in this tournament out of his decks. One of his losses, a couple rounds before the top 8, played against Cedric Phillips. He's the quick match 2-0 for Cedric. Mono white, not really something he has that much game against, but largely gets to avoid it. I mean, you looked at our day 2 breakdown, 70% of the field was on Company or on some sort of Emrakul deck.
Mm-hmm. The Emrakul matchups seem overwhelmingly positive for Hagen's deck.
Look at his hand. Explosive Vegetation, Sight Beyond Sight. May have to look up some of those. That one's just a 4-mana card drawer, but it's a pretty good card drawer at that. So land 3, another forest for Jacob. The Nissa's Pilgrimage may be the most important card in this deck, as it's the only ramp spell he can play before turn 4. Plays a land and just passes the turn. That actually flips the Duskwatch Recruiter for Ted.
And now it can attack even in the face of that face-up Den Protector. Did gain him a couple life in the short term there, but not really doing very much anymore.
So for Ted, it's a 4th land drop. He'll attack with the Howler. Then he'll play a Recruiter for 1 mana and pass. Didn't want to flip his creature back. He's also holding up Spell Queller.
Spell Queller and an activation. And with Hagen not having anything on 3, the Spell Queller can tag anything on 4. This could be going Felicetti's way in very short order.
I mean, Explosive Vegetation from Hagen will quickly get quelled. To me, Spell Queller feels like it's the most important card in the matchup for Ted.
Yeah, absolutely. Having that disruption. The thing about Hagen's deck, he's trying to get a mana advantage and then just start casting spells that feel like a different game than what the opponent's up to, and Spell Queller is able to tag all of the enablers for that strategy.
Reflector Mage on the Den Protector, and here comes the team. It's a 3/3 and a trio of 2/2s, 9 damage. Hagen's down to 8.
And you can still morph the Den Protector on the following turn, but Hagen has no graveyard. Often you don't Spell Queller it for a reason like that, but he's applying too much pressure for that to matter.
I mean, 1 creature of 5 attackers. Hagen's just dead if he only has 1 card.
Yeah.
He can just try to crush. Maybe right away, but no. He would need to surge, and he can't do it. Game 1's a quick one in the favor of Ted Felicetti.
That was fast.
Yeah, I mean, and this is one of my concerns about the Crush deck. It's very powerful, but its curve is pretty miserable. When it's on the draw, it really only felt like it took 1 Spell Queller from Ted to win that game.
Yes, you're not wrong.
I mean, he played a 2/2 for 2 that never got that, a 2/2 for 3 that never got in for damage, got in for damage once, and then a Spell Queller, and that was the game.
Yeah. Hagen not having the Pilgrimage was significant, but even still, there was a lot of pressure on Ted's side of the board.
All right, impressive stuff from Band Company. Now 1 game away from claiming the trophy, but we're going to look at the sideboards. Everybody shows up with a plan for Band Company, and Jacob is no different. Green, Blue, Crush, what do we have?
All right, so the sideboard is 2 copies of Learn from the Past, 2 Clipwings, 2 Void Chatter, a Summary Dismissal, 2 Noose Constrictor, 4 Jetty Offshoot, 2 Dispel. Dispel is reasonable against specifically the card Collected Company. I wouldn't bring in more than 1 in a matchup like this. Noose Constrictor, we saw him cast a face-up Den Protector. That seems totally reasonable. We might see him reach for Jetty Offshoot. It's more for the very aggressive decks, but if he doesn't think he has a fighting chance without something like that to keep him in the game, we could see offshoot as well. I'm curious about Clip Wings. We saw just how good Spell Queller was there. Having the answer in Clip Wings would get him the spell back. He can't really otherwise deal with a Spell Queller.
Yeah, when you can never kill the creature, it's just really unfair, right? It's just a straight counter spell.
The cards in his sideboard, that could very well be what it's for. They're potential for Felicetti to cast an Avacyn. That is something that you kind of like having against the Crush deck as well when we get over to that side.
Okay, so for Ted Felicetti, this has been his biggest tournament. That is, unless you were watching the Invitational last 2 weeks ago in New Jersey, Ted was one of the 2 8-0 players along with Eric Hawkins. It led him to a top 16 Invitational finish, which puts him on the leaderboard. But that tournament ended up being won by Liam Lonergan, and we can now show you the Liam Lonergan Elf Warrior token. So Liam Lonergan had swept through the tournament in 8-0 with Elves, 3-0. He is your Season 2 champion. He'll be at the Players' Championship, and now you can get him on an Elf token starting with our next Open. So that's going to be September 23rd. Show up. That will be available starting then for players showing up in any Open and any Classics. It'll be available all of Season 3. And if you can't make it out to one of our events, we do ship them with orders from StarCityGames.com. So make sure to put that in. And this is a pretty great one. And especially if you're a fan of Elves, you don't just need one. No deck makes one Elf token.
And Lonergan proved that Dwinnen's Elite is well positioned in Modern. 8-0 run in the Modern leg of that Invitational, the Modern top 8, he won it. The Dwinnen's Elite is a great enabler alongside Heritage Druid, so it plays quite well in the deck. That 1 into 2, you can even cast a Imperious Perfect, or one of your Lore Elvis Archdruid in turn 2 that way.
And what would a win mean here for Ted Felicetti? So, mentioning his top 16 Invitational finish, he has put himself in the last 2 weeks from an unknown to onto the leaderboard, and a win here is going to do even more. You see in 15th place, he's sitting behind, first of all, newly minted world champion Brian Braun-Duin at 21. A big congratulations to Brian.
Oh yeah, congratulations. Very well deserved.
And for our Open here, we might have 2 champions on this leaderboard. Ted's now a game away. And with this win, this will really move him up the standings, be into one of those top 3 spots. He should own one as early as next weekend. We saw Jadine Klemperens, a great finish as well this weekend. Ross Miriam in 10th. A lot of those players competing for these top spots.
Felicetti, if he wins, that's 30 Open points. He could very well be number 1 on the leaderboard here. Yeah, no one else here looks to be in our top 8 this weekend. Some points acquired across the board, but really good grounds for Felicetti.
All right, going back to our match here. Ted will be on the draw. Now I want to look at his sideboard. Game 1 was pretty great. If he can do it again, I like his odds. Now, when you're playing against a deck as strange as Green-Blue Crush, a lot of times your cards don't matter. So what does matter, then, is the question.
So the sideboard is 2 Dromoka's Command, 2 Gideon Allies End a card, 2 Clash of Wills, 2 Tragic Arrogance, 2 News Constrictor, a Tireless Tracker, an Ojutai's Command, an Archangel Avacyn, a Summary Dismissal, and a Tameo Field Researcher. Everything that says counter target spell, whatever, it's going to play here. Clash of Wills, if you can get that in an early ramp spell, that's going to be very significant. We saw what Spell Queller did to Jacob in that game. Summary Dismissal is a little bit slower, but you want to have something for part the Water Veil, so that's going to play here. And then the other card that I really like is the Archangel Avacyn, specifically just because it's a big threat with Flash that can help you get back on the table immediately against a Crush of Tentacles.
Yeah, we saw Clash of Wills not do the trick out of Todd Anderson's deck, but when you're playing Bant Company, you get to play it behind some pressure, and it's a world of difference. Ted on a 6-card hand here. He'll be on the draw. Scries to the top. Jacob's the first player of the game. It's Noose Constrictor, one of the cards out of the sideboard for this matchup.
Just getting a little bit lower to the ground, trying to blunt any potential early offense.
Yeah, a lot of times we see Jacob with extra cards to spare. He gets so many off of something like Nissa's Pilgrimage. He's actually going to attack with the Constrictor, putting Ted down to 18, and immediately Nissa's Pilgrimages. It's the best card in his deck, or at the very least, the most essential one.
Right. This is really where things start. That's his first ramp spell that he casts.
So we go over to Ted's turn. He'll loot with Jace. Picks up a Sylvan Advocate. May discard. You see he does have Spell Queller already. Now he wasn't on the play this time, so last time he got to hold up Spell Queller when he had pressure. Can't really do that this time. So it'll be Reflector Mage off Fortified Village, putting the Noose Constrictor back in Hagen's hand.
I'm slightly curious about that, because oftentimes what Hagen's deck is trying to do is the turn 3 Pilgrimage into turn 4 Explosive Vegetation, and
Boom.
leaving up Spell Queller is very significant against that setup.
And that's what's going to happen. There's the punishment. Here's Explosive Vegetation from Hagen. Land 5, land 6. If he has a card from hand, it's land 7. And Spell Queller maybe not doing as much anymore. You can't Spell Quell one of the finishers. Though when you look at his finishers, a lot of them, when you're talking about Den Protectors and such, Spell Queller may still be good later in the game. Though I agree that Ted would wish to have one.
There's a lot of stuff that it catches. The deck does have a very small number of cards that it's trying to draw to. A lot of things it's casting, like Anticipate. Sometimes you can catch that in a situation where you know they're trying to top deck, and that'll be huge.
Ted loots a second land away with Jace. That puts him to 2 cards in his graveyard. We go back to Jacob for his 4th turn. It's going to be Sight Beyond Sight. That'll be Spell Quellered for sure from Ted.
And Jacob did pick up a sideboard copy of Dispel, which will enable him to fight over any of Felicetti's sideboard counterspells or the main deck Collected Companies.
Noose Constrictor, now played from Jacob. It's off Reflector Mage. He'll pass Ted's Cracks the Evolving Wilds. That's now card number 3 in the graveyard.
And the Constrictor is going to do a good job of stopping that Spell Queller from attacking.
Hey, it does actually have reach.
Yeah.
It's an island, so Ted's mana pretty perfect here, but his threats are light.
If I'm Felicetti, I'm totally on board with attacking this Reflector Mage and trading with the card in Hagen's hand, though.
Ted very quickly can see Ted wants a Planeswalker. His land for the turn is another Evolving Wilds. It's card 4. Jace looting will get him up to card 5. Those graveyards all lands at the moment. So Jace loots. Draws Collected Company. I'll take that one.
Yeah, it's better when Hagen doesn't have a Dispel in hand, but you're not wrong. The Jace will enable him to flash it back down the road anyway.
So Jace, now a Planeswalker. He can plus it and shrink the Noose Constrictor. And now, do you think he attacks into it? If Jacob wanted to kill it, yeah, he'll swing Reflector Mage. I was saying if Jacob wanted to kill it, he could pitch 3 cards. Were there enough cards in Jacob's hand to block the Spell Queller even?
I think it was exactly 3.
Okay, yeah, you're right, it was.
And Sight Beyond Sight does draw a couple cards anyway.
Den Protector face down for Hagen.
He's kind of hedging against Hagen's existing hand being terrible.
For sure. Hagen passes. Felicetti's going to go for Collected Company, but Jacob has the Dispel at the ready and has enough mana actually to Den Protect it back.
That is significant. That'll turn off the Jace flashback shenanigans.
Nissa, the play from Ted. Really wants that 6th land. That'll mean the Sylvan Advocates down the road will be good. So now still has Spell Queller up. Plays the Forest he finds of Nissa. Jace is at 6. He's got 2 attackers, but no great attacks right now. Jacob at a very healthy 16.
And both players know that that's a Den Protector there, so that's going to inform Felicetti's decisions from here.
A Shrink on Noose Constrictor by Ted. And yeah, he's debating. He's gonna offer the Spell Queller, swing it in. Now we find that Jacob does not make the block, so he'll play a Sylvan Advocate and pass.
And Jacob is now down to 2 cards. He would have to just completely throw away the Den Protector value if he wanted to make that exchange.
Yeah, at that point, Ted says, okay, you can do that if you want. And I love Jacob's get here. He goes ahead and Den Protector's back on Nissa's Pilgrimage. He is not done ramping.
Never done ramping.
Not every ramp deck wants to go to 12. Some of them, stop before that, but not this one.
No, this one's not about that.
Lumbering Falls from Jacob. He's got enough mana to Pilgrimage and Crush.
That would unlock his Sight Beyond Sight.
Here's Nissa's Pilgrimage. I think he makes that play. That looks great.
Yeah. Gets back his Den Protector.
Yeah, Forest into play, 2 more into hand. That's some more fodder for the Noose Constrictor if he cares to put it there.
The Crush isn't going to change too much. It blunts the current assault, though Felicetti will just be able to Reflector Mage away the Octopus token, get a Spell Queller back to start quelling some spells again.
Yeah, Jacob playing land wait, already played one. Now we see, it looks like Crush in his hand if he goes for it. It's at least Den Protector. He's got another one. So I suppose with 5 mana, he could just face down another Den Protector.
Yeah, with only 5, though, he's not able to represent Dispel.
He'll pass. Questionable. Not actually sure now. He may not have the Crush of Tentacles just yet.
Yeah, not casting it there does surprise me.
Yeah, I don't... Maybe a misread on that. We'll go back to Ted's turn, though. He's got Spell Queller in hand, Sylvan Advocate in hand. Jace getting dangerously close to ultimate. It's going to shrink Noose Constrictor. Now, no land number 7 for Ted, so we can't actually flip the Nissa just yet. Sylvan Advocate's going to swing it. Spell Queller won't, so it's only 4 damage. Jacob going to 10. Ted playing another Advocate and then just passing.
Yeah, now Hagen under very significant pressure.
Interested there. Ted is still plussing the Jace. He could have exposed... Maybe a main phase flashback of Collected Company doesn't do anything.
Well, he has 6 mana in play, and he has Spell Queller in hand.
Okay. Doesn't exactly want to tap off that card.
Right. Not to mention, if a crush happens here, I want to be able to recommit Spell Queller to get that Sight Beyond Sight again. That seems reasonable.
Hagen's going to go for Den Protector, but Ted's going to Spell Quell it.
And that's actually really powerful, because even if Hagen can deal with that Queller, he just gets a face-up Den Protector.
And that card, that blue card in Jacob's hand, not Crush of Tentacles, was actually Ascend to Sleep.
That is worse by an order of magnitude.
Right, Ted drawing the 7th land. Nissa pluses, puts another Spell Queller in his hand. Oh my. Here is Jace flashing back Collected Company. Ted is going for the kill.
This one's looking to be over pretty quick here.
If this hits good enough, it's going to get him there. 6 cards, no creatures, no creatures, just 1. It's Sylvan Advocate, so Jacob may have another turn.
Yeah, wanted to find a Reflector Mage to clean up this stuff on the ground. His attack will do a fine job of that, though.
Keep in mind, both players know what Ted's last card is. It's a good one. It's another Spell Queller.
Yes. That Ascend to Sleep is not going to resolve through that.
Ted goes to going to attacks. Kind of decide what all he wants to swing with. And then Jacob says, wait, I have plays before attacks. Going to use this Send to Sleep. And Ted doesn't even think twice. Quell that.
And so Felicetti knows that Hagen is just top decking from here. If he had a better spell, he would have been casting it already. So he just needs to not attack with the Spell Queller that's holding the draw spell. Everything else is totally free to start rumbling in. 2
Advocates and a Spell Queller. Those are in. Jacob activates Lumbering Falls to block. It's a chump with the it's a block with the Constrictor, maybe a chump with the Falls. He's trying the one that's attacking is the Queller that has Den Protector on it. Because you said there's nothing good in Jacob's graveyard. Whatever, give him a Den Protector.
Yeah, he just gets a face-up Den Protector back.
That's fine. Ted has 100 creatures. But the Sight Beyond Sight, that one, you see Ted holding back that Spell Queller.
Yeah, if that died now, Jacob would be able to cast it and then rebound it on his turn, so we would see a lot of cards before his next main phase.
So these are the blocks. A discard of Noose Constrictor will let it survive, kill the Spell Queller, get back the Den Protector. Jacob loses his Lumbering Falls. Goes to 2. Oh, he actually never ended up blocking with Lumbering Falls. So he just went to 2. He took both the Sylvan Advocate damage. And now a draw. This might be Jacob's last draw. He's looking for something like Part the Water Veil.
Looked like something like Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger.
Well, that card's great, usually, if you're not at 2.
Yes.
But
I think Ted has too much stuff.
Well, does he have 12 mana? Hold on here. He could Ulamog away the Spell Queller that has the Send to Sleep on it.
Okay.
It's a start. I think he has enough blockers between the double tap, the Ulamog.
Sure. And he is a spell master. We
Right.
see Dispel Pilgrimage.
He's got to have another land in hand. He pitched 1 card to Noose Constrictor. Is the other one a land? I think so. Here's Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. It's a good top deck from Jacob, but is it good enough? All right, but no, when he gets so he casts it for free, gets back his Send to Sleep and his Sight Beyond Sight. Those are get cast for free. So Send to Sleep gets 2 Advocates, and they don't untap. Now here's Sight Beyond Sight for Hagen. Dispel and Lumbering Falls.
Dispel looks mighty good here. One of Felicetti's better draws as Collected Company.
Okay.
Or even if Felicetti's able to pick up, say, Summary Dismissal for a future top deck
Yeah,
from Jacob.
4 blockers for Felicetti. He's at 2, or rather for Hagen, he's at 2. Nissa pluses shows Reflector Mage. That's pretty good. 2 attackers, 3 blockers.
Reflector Mage on Ulamog makes it so his attacks are at least somewhat taxing on Hagen.
Yeah, he will reflect the Ulamog back into Hagen's hand. As long as the game doesn't go too long, that won't be a problem. Jace will tick up to 6. There's no instance, so that's easy enough.
And it's very likely that if Felicetti is not winning this game on the next turn, he's not winning it at all. So I do like aggressively going for that Reflector Mage.
Ted will shrink Noose Constrictor, attack with Advocate. This is a lethal attack, so he'll get a chump block for it. And 1 Den Protector jumps in the way. Jacob had an option. If he'd blocked it with both Den Protectors, he could have traded. No interest there.
No.
And here's a draw. Now, did Jacob rebound his Sight Beyond Sight?
I think he missed that, but he drew Crush of Tentacles.
Okay. So he's got a chance. I really like how Surge works with Rebound, by the way.
Yeah,
that is nice.
It's a free roll.
Here's the Crush. Yeah, he's just playing it for 6. Everything back in the hand. If Jacob survives another turn, that Ulamog's online again.
And Felicetti no longer has a Spell Queller that was out, so he can't just flash in that threat.
Yeah, there were 3 Spell Quellers at one point. One of them didn't get bounced, though. Yeah, they're all gone.
Even if he has one, Hagen's recasting Noose Constrictor.
2 got Ulamogged, 1 got eaten by Noose Constrictor, so they're all gone at this point. Jacob at 2, but this is going to be tough. Ted does not actually have hasted threats in his deck. Something like a Lumbering Falls could work, but he doesn't have one in play.
Though the Ulamog is not necessarily lights out. I think Hagen still has to draw something from here.
Den Protector face down for Hagen.
Though Den Protector Crush of Tentacles sort of buys him a ton of time.
How about this draw, though, for Ted? I think he draws Tameo, Field Researcher. I don't know if it's good yet, but it will be good down the line.
Oh, should it? Yeah, after the Ulamog's on the table, you can use it to tap it down.
Yeah, tap down 2 blockers. He only needs 1. All his creatures have 2 power, and Jacob doesn't gain life in this match. So all he needs is 1 connect with any creature at some point here.
Right.
So Nissa flips Nissa by playing a Forest. Does he get a card or does he get a 4/4? This is pretty close. Looks like he hasn't decided yet. He's not sure. Both are kind of appealing. Hand 2 Reflector Mages, 3 Sylvan Advocates. Keep in mind that Den Protector can just keep crushing.
Right.
Nissa makes a 4/4. Ted plays an Advocate, plays maybe another Advocate.
You can make the play that
another Advocate
forces the crush on the following turn, but
Jacob will do it.
He's not stopping that from killing him.
Well, Jacob can just do this every turn, right? Crush, Den Protector, crush.
Right.
Yeah, all right.
Felicetti's deck does have 2 Lumbering Falls. So if he's able to keep doing this and produce that, that changes the equation somewhat.
Yeah, this is actually this is a lock. Jacob gets back the crush with Den Protector. Until Jacob wins the game, it's a lock. He just keeps crushing every turn.
And there's nothing you can do with Reflector Mage to stop Hagen from morphing Den Protector every turn.
Noose Constrictor for Hagen. This is pretty sweet.
That's his Surge Enabler.
Sure. Crush of Tentacles. Has to tap double blue for that, so we're going to redo that tap. But he does have the blue, so it's fine. Looks like that second one, the third one down actually is an island, so 2 blue in there. Noose Constrictor for Jacob, he'll pass. Ted draws Duskwatch Recruiter.
Now, if Ted's able to get an Archangel Avacyn in his hand, or a Spell Queller, maybe 2 flash flying threats, he can win through this lock.
No more forests in Ted's deck, so he can't just keep flipping that Nissa.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, plays 3 more Advocates, he'll pass.
Yeah, just gonna keep forcing the issue on that Crush of Tentacles. It's possible that Felicetti's line was supposed to be just play recruiter and double recruit to try to produce those flash threats. Though if you don't force the action on the crush, then the next turn's an Ulamog turn, or maybe he finds part of the
Yeah.
water veil. So it is a tough spot.
You talk about the flash sets. We're looking at the 4th spell queller. We're looking at some number of Archangel Avs, and he could have anywhere between 0 and 3 depending on how he's sideboarded. But that's actually it.
Then he's already gone through 3 of his spell quellers.
Right. And a lot of his counterspells, cards like Clash of Wills, those aren't going to work anymore. So Den Protector for Jacob, resetting the crush lockup. Plays it, flips it, gets a crush, crushes, everything bounces, Octopus back. This looks a lot like last turn. You're just going to keep on going with it. And you can tell by the look on Jacob Hagen, he is comfortable with this. He has done this before. Discards. And says go. Summary dismissal, though. Pick up for Ted.
Hagen's still sitting on Dispel, though.
Okay. This is one of the more relevant draws Ted could have had. Now, it's not going to work.
Right, though Hagen's tapping enough mana, so if he's able to run this into Clash of Wills, that 1-2 punch could get him there.
And Ted's looks like he's going to run it back at least a bit. Den Protector, or rather Reflector Mage +1 Advocate. If he doesn't run and he's going to discard Jace, say go. So not being very subtle about what's going on.
No, conveniently leaving 4 mana up looks like Collected Company.
Sure. That's believable.
Right.
With only 2 creatures, maybe he can entice Jacob to Ulamog them.
True.
To stop crushing every turn. But Jacob picking up Send to Sleep, I just don't know that he's ever getting out of this lock.
Now this is starting to look really good for Hagen. Every turn that passes looks a little bit better for him.
Ulamog, Send to Sleep, Crush, Den Protector. Just Ted, he's got him so close. He's got him to 2, but he's that last 2 damage. Here is the Ceaseless Hunger. Will it eat Ted's lands or his creatures? Ted's going to try to dismissal it, but Dispel is ready, as you mentioned at the counter. Both creatures exiled. The Summary Dismissal is countered. Jacob's got an Eldrazi in play, and now we're on to Ted.
And suddenly even forcing action on the crush just means that Hagen gets to rebuy this Ulamog.
Plays Nissa, but can't find anything. He did draw a land, though, so he'll flip the Nissa. If there were a window earlier for Ted, I'm not sure it still exists. We were looking for something like Lumbering Falls. I don't know anymore. Nissa will plus put Fortified Village into play. Reflector Mage on Ulamog. 2 Sylvan Advocates. He passes. Remember, Ted's still sitting on Tameo Field Researcher. Does that do anything to get him out of this?
Not out of the crush lock. If Hagen, for some reason, decided that exiling 2 creatures and using Ulamog to block the 3rd was his line, and just for whatever reason was not able to Lumbering Falls on top of that, sure, there is an avenue for him to make a mistake.
And this is the part we're talking about. It's difficult with Crush. You know that Jacob Hagen, in all likelihood, has this game locked, but executing the lock is actually really difficult.
He has Counterbalance top. You got a Stifle in your hand.
Gross.
You think he can maybe do something, but it doesn't feel pretty.
Play flip Den Protector. He has Crush in the yard. Ted's tapped out, so this one's pretty safe. He'll crush everything. Get his Octopus. Restart. So the thing is, I guess eventually, as we keep doing this, Jacob will draw lands, will draw apart the Water Veil, but he wants to kind of do all of this with Dispels up. I guess depending on the matchup, the lock takes a different form.
Right. Felicetti is still kind of drawing to Lumbering Falls. He didn't hit it here. He did hit Collected Company, which is instant speed creatures, potentially.
Okay, Jacob, I don't think has all the Dispels as the lock set up just yet.
Right. He does have Send to Sleep, which can mess that up.
You're not wrong. I mean, I suppose Ted could Collected Company, and if he had a Queller in hand when he went for it, he could. There's a line.
Yeah.
If he can get enough instant speed action on Jacob's end step, he can get something to work. Reflector Mage will once again bounce that 8/8 token. Ted plays Sylvan Advocate, plays another Sylvan Advocate, passes with 4 mana up. And you know what's a tough spot for Ted? He's unlikely to win it from here, but this Crush deck, the lock is hard enough to execute that he's going to play it out. There's a lot of chances for Jacob to screw it up.
Amusingly, this isn't even a game if Reflector Mage is not a card in Standard. That
Sure, because the 8/8s just win.
the 8/8 just ends the game.
Jacob untapping a huge stack of lands, and he wants more explosive vegetation. Why not? This deck just never, it runs out of uses for its mana.
Right.
So 2 islands in play for Jacob.
Now, hold on. He casts Explosive Vegetation here. He still has to Den Protector, flip up Den Protector for Crush. Am I wrong? Maybe he drew a second Crush? We'll see exactly what the next step is.
Yeah, 8 more lands in play. That brought him up to 14. So you're thinking like maybe he tapped too low. I know that's a ridiculous statement. Another Noose Constrictor.
I guess he can just play it on the table. Looks like 2 Send to Sleeps.
It's unlikely Ted has enough cards, but he's going to go for this Collected Company. Is it going to work? Did Jacob mess up the lock? We'll see. Spell Queller, Tireless Tracker, Duskwatch Recruiter. Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, it's sad for Ted that Spell Queller is now on the bottom of his deck. But a lot of creatures. Tapped down. Is Jacob going to pull the trigger on these Send to Sleeps? There's 5 creatures for Ted. And there's a lot of Reflector Mages in Ted's hand. There's a chance here that Jacob...
Well, he has Tameo, which can just tap down the Noose Constrictors.
Yeah.
So Hagen has access to two Send to Sleeps, and Lumbering Falls is still untapped. He can do exactly 2 of these things, though. He can't cast both and animate.
No, you'd think that 2 sleeps should be enough, but maybe not. He's going to cast 1. He's going to cast 2. He's going to tap Ted down to 1 creature, but 1 creature might just be enough. I would think it's hard to say that a player on 12 mana tapped too low, but Jacob may have let it slip.
Yeah, this line just doesn't have Tammy on his radar. You know, there's a lot of back and forth doing the same thing. He wanted to get ahead, so it makes sense to go for the Explosive Vegetation to get out of just crushing every turn. But crushing was good enough that long, and
here he goes, just to show it. I have Tameo. I'm tapping your guys. Do I win? And it's game, match, and Ted Felicetti is your Richmond Open champion.
Wow, Felicetti just persevered. A lot of players would have conceded earlier in that game. It felt like a hard lock. He said, you know what? This deck's really complicated. I think there's an avenue for you to make a mistake. Show me you win. Actually win the game.
What a play by Ted to persevere through that game. A great tournament for Jacob Hagen. This deck's excellent, but it's intimidating.
Yeah, Felicetti was really impressive every time we had him on camera this weekend. Just navigated this deck expertly. We've been talking about how difficult Emerge is. Easy to forget that Band Company is one of the harder decks to pilot as well, and he did it masterfully.